Listen, on September 10th, AZ will be dropping his 9th studio album called Doe or Die 2. Now, this will be the sequel to his first album, the original Doe or Die, which came out in like 1995. So everybody's been anticipating Doe or Die 2, at least I have in the real hip hop community, has been anticipating Doe or Die 2 for the last maybe about 6 or 7 years, maybe close to 8 years since AZ first announced that he was coming out with the sequel to Doe or Die, like back in 2015, 2014, and it has never came out, but now it's officially coming out. Just the other day, AZ dropped the first official single off the album, and the video will be coming out within the next couple days. The single is called The Wheel, and it features R&B crooner, R&B singer Jaheim, and I actually like the song. You know, the song is a very good, nice little warm-up heater song to set the tone for the upcoming album. Jaheim, surprisingly, considering everything that's been documented that we've seen in the public and how he was been looking over the last couple years, you know, which is a little bit rough and rugged, you know what I mean, pause, but you know, he's had his issues from, you know, what we've heard, you know, just through like the little media circuits and bloggers and things like that. But Jaheim actually sounds like Jaheim from 2001, 2002 on this song. Jaheim's voice sounds spectacular. It sounds strong. It sounds heavy. It sounds amazing.
And we're all just spokes in a big old wheel. Whole thing turning, trying to roll uphill. Twist that cap, nigga, pop that steel.
So this first single, The Wheel by AZ, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It sounds very, very good. I like it for a first single. But yeah, this album is coming out in a couple weeks on Friday, September 10th, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Doe or Die 2, Doe or Die, the first one, which came out in 95. The original Doe or Die, I thought, was an amazing album, very good first album. It was a classic, a hip hop classic, a 5-mic album. You know, it had production on there from, I think LES did a little production on there, maybe not, don't quote me on that. But I know for sure, LES did Sugar Hill, the jump off single for that. So yeah, LES did production on that, and also Pete Rock did some classic production on that album. So definitely this album will have a heavy bill to live up to, you know, considering the first one was a classic. But I think that out of any MC in hip hop, AZ could definitely deliver, no doubt, and give us a spectacular album. His last album that came out in 2009 was legendary. And, you know, AZ went on pretty much a streak from like the late 90s, early 2000s, from like 2000 to 2009, coming out. And even like 2011 and 2012, 2013, he came out with, you know, N for L, the mixtape back in 2011, 2012, which was a dope, underrated album and mixtape. I thought it was very good. But AZ was consistent for a good 10-year stretch, 11, 12, 13-year stretch, going back to, like I said, like 1997 with Pieces of a Man album. And then the 9 Lives album and the Asiatic album in the early 2000s, like around 2000, 2001. And so AZ went like on literally like a 15-year tear from 1995 to 2011, 2012, which is like close to 16, 17 years, delivering us some consistent music on a consistent dope music on a consistent regular basis. So AZ has proven that, you know, over the latter years, you know, couple years, the last, 8 years, he's kind of taken some time off and laid low. But now he's back. He's ready to do his thing. And one thing that's going to be interesting to see, for me at least to see, is how AZ's Doe or Die 2 will compare to Nas's album King Disease 2, which just came out about roughly like a week or two ago. And so it's going to be interesting to see, because AZ and Nas has always been, you know, side table talk, backroom chatter talk about who's the better lyricist between those two, at least for the circles that I was in the 90s and early 2000s. AZ has always gotten compared to Nas because, you know, the success that they both had together off the Illmatic album and the song Life's a Bee, and, you know, AZ having the classic timeless verse on that song. So their careers have sort of been kind of parallel a little bit, even though Nas has obviously had more success, both mainstream and just, you know, overall in general, than AZ. Their careers have been sort of kind of like parallel, but Nas has obviously eclipsed AZ over the years, and just from the beginning and the inception of both of their careers, just because Nas was always pushed more. He was out in the forefront. And, you know, at one point, Nas was the greater, more superior lyricist than AZ. So I'm definitely going to be looking to hear this album because I think personally that AZ will have a better album. Doe or Die 2 will be better than Nas's King Disease 2. Just for the simple fact that AZ right now in his particular life and career that he's at right now musically, to me, he's in a better space lyrically. To me, AZ is in a better space lyrically than Nas is. AZ is the better MC. If you have any, doubts about that, just look at the first King Disease album when Nas featured, The Firm, AZ, Cormega, and Foxy Brown, all on one song. AZ had clearly the best verse on that song. Clearly, probably the best verse on Nas's King Disease album. In my opinion, I've always thought AZ and Nas was kind of like, there wasn't that much distance as a lot of people tried to say between both of them being MCs. I always thought maybe that AZ wasn't running neck and neck with Nas, but it really wasn't a whole lot of difference and distance. It really wasn't a whole lot of distance between them two as far as, their lyrical ability, performance and the way they, the way their albums were constructed and produced. So I definitely think that AZ right now at this particular moment in time is the better MC and better lyricist than Nas. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. Nas has dropped 2 albums, King Disease 1 and 2, and there really wasn't any hip hop quotables that I personally picked out from Nas on either album. There wasn't a verse or a line that absolutely blew me away or particular standout verse or line that had me going crazy. Like, Nas had his moments, of course he did. That's Nas Career. But there wasn't any, let's just call it for what it is. There wasn't any hip hop quotables on, King Disease 1 or 2, even though I thought, King Disease 1 was, but King Disease 2 was a better album than 1. So I'm highly expecting AZ to have the better quality album. Lyrically. I'm also counting on AZ to have better production on this album than Nas. Not to say that King Disease, 2 particularly, was a bad produced album, because like I said in my King Disease 2 review, if you haven't checked it out on my channel. All you gotta do is just go on my videos and check it out. I just did it about a week ago. Not to say that, King Disease 2 didn't have its moments production-wise, because I thought the album, sonically, production, it was definitely a step up from the first King Disease album. And I thought Hit Boy had moments, real quality moments on that album. It could have, I had my quirks about that album, just like I had my quirks about that album. I had my quirks about Hit Boy's production, but overall, I think Hit Boy did a real solid job production-wise on that album. I would have changed this, could have been a little better, certain parts of the album, but overall, it was a, pretty decently produced album. But I definitely think that AZ will have the better produced album, because AZ has a history of giving us not only quality lyricism, but quality beats, quality production. And one thing that I like about AZ, you can kind of compare this to Nas's career. Nas tends to work with the bigger name producers, where AZ more than likely tends to stay away from the big name producers. Like, you'll get AZ working with a Primo here and there or somebody of that nature. But AZ, for the most part of the bulk of his career and his albums, if you check his resume and his discography, has worked with lesser known, no name producers, and the beats sound just as good as if AZ would have worked with a Hit Boy, or, would have worked with a Timbaland like Nas did, or would have worked with, compare whatever producer Nas worked with at, during the height of, his career, or during the last couple years, whether it was Nas working with Kanye for the album, or whatever assortment of, more well-named producers that Nas worked with. AZ takes the lesser known producers, and the beats come out very, very well, very quality beats. So I'm expecting, and the first jump off single, The Wheel, to me is, if we comparing singles, I think AZ's new single, The Wheel, is actually a better first single than Nas's first single, Rare, produced by Hit Boy, versus AZ's first single off Doe or Die 2, The Wheel, produced by KG, y'all, from Naughty by Nature fame. KG also is a really dope producer. KG is a producer that's haven't been, you haven't seen a lot of people work with KG over the last, couple years. He's been on the low as far as his production, but KG was a go-to producer, in the 90s, in the late 90s, early 2000s, with Janae and the production he was doing for Naughty by Nature. So if we just comparing first singles here, Nas is Rare compared to AZ The Will featuring Jaheim, produced by KG. I'm going with AZ songs, The Will being the better of the two songs. It was more, the production was more sleek. The production was more hard hitting. And, Jaheim just killed it. Jaheim just vocally, Jaheim killed the hook. And so, yeah, I'm already, not taking anything away from Nas's song Rare, which I thought it was okay. It didn't move me like that. I think already from the gate, AZ has the better first singles of the two. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this. I don't necessarily call it a showdown because I don't know how many people are going to view it from my perspective, but I'm going to definitely be the main person comparing the albums to see which one was better. Right now, we're gonna wait and see, because like I said, I haven't heard, Do or Die 2. We can only go by the first singles, but going by the first singles, obviously, like I just said, I'm picking AZ's first single better than Nas's video and first single that he released. So feel free to leave a comment, let me know what you think about that, and while you at it, just go ahead, come on, listen, come on, just go ahead. Feel free, just do it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You already know, it's your boy AP, and I will check y'all later. One love, as always. Peace.